Hi everybody, this is Amber Renton. I'm the studio director of WolverineSoft Studio. Unfortunately, we had some technical issues relating to capturing audio at our live meeting, so we're going to be sticking to this recorded meeting instead. This information is primarily targeted towards those who are applying for the winter 2021 cycle of the WolverineSoft Studio, but this information will technically apply to all future iterations as well, so definitely keep that in mind, and we'll go ahead and get started. So, as a brief overview of what the studio is, it is a semester-long student-run initiative meant to give University of Michigan students long-term project experience. So, essentially, this is one team throughout one semester creating one final game project. As a brief bit of history, the studio has existed since the summer of 2019, which is when former 494IA and former WolverineSoft officer Nico Williams founded it. So definitely give him a huge amount of applause for the work that he put into this awesome opportunity. Since then, we have produced 5 finished game projects with one more to be completed by tomorrow. We've averaged around 1 project per semester, with also a few being done over the summers. Okay, just to briefly go over our COVID-19 response, WolverineSoft Studio is held completely remote and has been since the middle of the winter 2020 semester. And it's going to stay this way until health authorities approve that it is safe to do so. In the meanwhile, all meetings are held over Discord, which is a free online messaging and meeting platform popular in gaming communities. Invites to the Discord servers are going to be sent out to our members before the semester begins, so don't worry, we will get you set up with that. Also, as another note, WolverineSoft Studio is a fantastic way to meet friends and work with inspiring people despite the remote semester. It's a great community, very casual, very laid back. People have made tons of friends here, so I highly recommend that you join us if that's what you're looking for. Alrighty, I just wanted to take some time to walk you guys through some past projects that we've done in the past. Obviously, we've done them in the past as they're past projects. So here's DREAMWILLOW, which is a 2D top-down twin-stick shooter. Everything you see here is completely original. You also have a link here to our itch.io if you want to play. But essentially, this was made during the fall 2019 semester, and we had around 30 students working on this. And we finished it on time. It was fantastic. Next, we have Desolation Place, which was created during the completely remote summer of 2020. Again, itch.io link. This is a 3D first-person stealth horror game. Very good stuff. We actually mounted quite a few YouTube Let's Plays on our itch.io page, so we got quite a few hits. Really good stuff. Next, and finally, we have Bloom Tome of Power, which was made simultaneously with Desolation Place during the summer of 2020. Completely remote. It is a retro FPS game in the style of Doom. And again, you can play it here. It has an awesome aesthetic. I would definitely recommend that you check it out. Alright, and I just want to briefly go over some footage from our current game that we are working on that is actually due to be finished tomorrow. Note that this is a work in progress video. It's just showcasing some of the progress that we have made in the past, and it is a week old. So a lot has changed since then, but this is just the sort of thing that you can expect from us. So note that this is a case study of Nuclear Throne. So we have our 2D top-down twin-stick shooter elements, although it is procedurally generated and a lot more fast-paced. So yeah, this is all stuff that our students have been working on this past fall 2020 semester. Everything has gone completely remote, and it has actually benefited us in many ways. So moving on to our next slide here. Alright, so I wanted to take some time to describe the process that the studio undergoes to create a finished game project from the start to the end of a semester. So, one studio cycle lasts roughly 13 to 14 weeks throughout the entire semester, from when classes begin to when classes end. And we split these 13 to 14 weeks into several milestones. We have pre-production, which is essentially our planning stage. Then we have alpha, which is our feature lock stage, developing all the features and systems of our game. Then we have beta, which is content lock, which is when we're defining all the content that's going to be in the game and implementing that. And finally, we have gold, which is essentially just bug fixes and polish. So these milestones are split even further into multiple 2-week sprints, which are periods of time during which tasks are assigned and completed in an agile workflow. Now, an agile workflow has several definitions. It's often debated, but the only thing that you really need to know is that we are working in multiple 2-week sprints. Things are being iterated on very quickly. Now, all of this is managed through industry standard software such as Jira, which is our task management software. It's actually quite simple to use. If you've taken EECS 494, you know what this is. But essentially, it is just as I said, task management. This is how leads will be assigning students tasks. So as for our team structure, at the top here we have production, which is typically 1 to 2 people just in charge of hosting studio-wide meetings, making sure that all tasks are being carried out smoothly. They're mostly in charge of seeing higher level picture things, making sure the team is working together nicely. Then under that we have student leads, and this typically varies. An average number could be around 8 of them, but they are responsible for communicating information to our members and being a resource to them in time of need. And then we split our members into several departments. We have programming, art, audio, and design. And sometimes we split y'all even further into pods, although this is something we typically get into on a semester-by-semester basis. Things are not really that hierarchical. This is just the flow of information, if that makes sense. So just to briefly go over our departments and what they do, members of our programming team are going to be writing scripts in Unity C# or Unreal C++. It depends based on semesters. In the past, we've only done Unity, although we might experiment in the future with Unreal. They're also going to be debugging scripts, pair programming, working with scripts others have made. In that nature, jumping into existing code libraries is something that recruiters really like to hear about. It's something you do in jobs quite often, so I would highly recommend, if you do end up joining us, to list this on your resume. So our art team is going to be creating art assets like concept art, tile sets, animation, VFX, user interface. There's a lot. And they're going to be working in either 2D or 3D, or both in some cases. And they're also going to be joining critiquing sessions with other artists and members to make sure that art assets are up to the requirements of the game. And we're going to be using industry standard software like the Adobe Suite. Recruiters, again, love hearing about this stuff. Next, we have our audio team. Our audio members are going to be creating original sound effects and composing music to play at various points in the project. They're also going to be joining critiquing sessions with audio and other members, as the art team does, again, to make sure that audio that is produced is up to the requirements of the project. And finally, they're going to be using industry standard software like Wise to integrate sounds to the project. Again, a great software to list on our resume. Recruiters love hearing about this. Finally, we have design. When people say design on the studio, they mean game design, which is different from the art sort of design, so make sure that that distinction is clear. Our designers are going to be doing research on existing game mechanics in other games, and borrowing some of those ideas, figuring out why things work in certain circumstances and not in others. They're going to be creating documentation in Confluence, which is an industry standard software, essentially like a project Wikipedia. So they're going to be creating documentation in Confluence on how certain events and behaviors in the game take place. And basically their job is helping other teams or other team members understand how the game should feel, look, and sound. So they would be defining what sorts of features that programmers would be implementing, what sorts of art that artists need to be creating. Essentially, they're at the backbone of the core concepts and ideas of the game. And finally, their final responsibility is playtesting and gathering feedback, just to make those final tweaks to make the game feel really nice. Finally, I'm going to talk about our meetings. So studio-wide meetings happen every week on Sundays. The exact time is to be decided. It depends on our member availability. They typically last around 30 minutes at most and involve showcasing progress on the game and making announcements. And then after studio-wide meetings end, this is where the main content of our meetings takes place. Members are going to break off into department meetings, which typically last around 1 hour. Here, tasks are assigned and progress for individual members is reviewed. All in all, the total required meeting time per week is usually around 1.5 hours, although this might ebb and flow depending on the week. Leads sometimes might ask you to meet extra times or less times in certain circumstances, but usually this is quite lax, so don't worry about it. The overall time commitment is typically what you make of it when you apply. Due to our limited resources, however, we really like taking in students who are able to contribute more time. This is around 6 to 7 hours a week or more. This is so that along with attending our mandatory meetings, you can also put in work on your tasks. So the weekly time commitment includes the mandatory meetings. As I mentioned before, it's going to be around 1.5 hours per week. However, if you are taking the studio for credit, you are required to put in 3 times the number of credits hours per week. So if you were taking the studio for 3 credits, then you would have to put in 9 hours per week, because that's 3 times 3. If you were taking it for 2 credits, you'd have to put in 6 hours per week, which is 2 times 3, etc. So I wanted to get in a little bit about earning credit. There's a lot more information about this on our website, so I'd highly recommend checking that out if you have any specific questions. But this is just a general overview. So students registering for the studio have an option to take the studio for any number of credits between 1 to 5. The amount of credit you may earn depends on your degree progress. Again, not going to get into specifics here. There's more information on our website. To earn credits, you just need to indicate interest on the application, and then at some point in the next few weeks, we will be reaching out to students to confirm their interest and putting in a credit request for them. At that point, we'll wait a few days, and then you'll receive an email from the MDP office containing the class registration number on Wolverine Access and instructions on how to enroll. It's very simple. The added workload I also wanted to add is very minimal. The only homework that you have in addition to the tasks you otherwise would have received involves writing a blog post at the end of every sprint, which is around every 2 weeks, recording what progress you have made. This takes around 2 hours minimum. The additional workload is minimal, and you'll be putting in the hours anyway. To be clear, I'm talking about the benefits of taking the studio for credit here. You'll be writing bi-weekly blog posts, which are fantastic for showing off to recruiters. They're also a very easy GPA boost, these MDP credits. As long as you put in the time you committed and submit blog posts on time, you're pretty much guaranteed to get an A. Also, if you're in EECS, MDP credits count as flex text, up to a certain point. If you are not in EECS, they are general electives, and you will get earlier registration dates as you complete these, along with any other course. So essentially, they're pretty much free credits, very easy to earn good grades on these. I would highly recommend that you sign up for MDP credits if you're already going to sign up for the studio, since you would be putting in the time anyway. So again, I have our website linked here. It's very simple. It's just WolverineSoft.org, and explore the tree of pages that we have available. But we have a lot of information there, so definitely take a look at it if you have any questions. Finally, I wanted to get into 2 of our most frequently asked questions. The first one being, who is able to apply? And the answer is anybody. We accept undergrads, UMich alums, students from local Michigan schools, etc. As a club, we do slightly prioritize current students, but this hasn't stopped us from accepting in a huge range of people in the past. So, second question, I've applied, when will I hear back? And the answer is, it's been a pretty busy time, especially for our student leads. So applications are a bit backlogged at the moment. It is the end of the semester, finals are happening. But we will begin approving applications during the week of December 14th, 2020. No matter what your decision is, ultimately we will be sending out emails to everybody. So don't worry about it. We won't be leaving anybody hanging. Finally, some very brief bullet points about the application process. We have the link to our application here, which will be sent out in plenty of announcements, so don't worry about getting it down right now. But applications will be due no earlier than January 12th, 2021. Applications are also going to be approved on a rolling basis, and MDP students are going to be enrolled on a rolling basis. We will start making these decisions during the week of December 14th, 2020. And we will be announcing when we do so don't worry. This wraps it up for the content of this meeting. I know there was a lot of information, and I likely talked pretty fast. I'm always on Discord though, so if you would like to message me, my Discord tag is Lumacy. Let me actually see if I can get you the number. It's Lumacy #4965. So I'm always available to talk, always available to answer any questions you might have, so definitely let me know. If you're in EECS 494, you're welcome to make a Piazza post asking about it. You're welcome to email me at arenton@umich.edu. We also have 2 WolverineSoft general emails that we use. It's wsoft.studio@umich.edu and wsoft.officer.active@umich.edu. We're always checking these emails, so feel free to email us at any time there. We'll get back to you ASAP. So that wraps it up for this async recording. I apologize again for the technical issues we experienced earlier. Hopefully it has not posed such a huge inconvenience to anybody. But otherwise, yeah, let me know anytime if you have any questions. I'm really glad that you're interested in this opportunity. And I will see you hopefully in the applications process, or otherwise on campus, online, whenever classes go back in person. So thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later.